Hi guys, and welcome to Fixin MaTools episode number 1. On this episode, it's all about modifications to the sandblaster. So a lot of my tools are cheap and therefore they need to be fixed or modified in order to work properly. Hence the new series, Fixin MaTools. Now these videos may be standalone or they may be embedded, like if I'm fixing something, a tool on a lathe, it might be embedded in a Journey to Journeyman, but I'll make sure that they're labeled either in the title or the subtitle with Fixin MaTools. So this sandblaster, it started off as a decent sandblaster, and the modifications that I did has turned it into an extremely valuable tool. Let's show you how I did that. The light in this sandblaster is absolutely atrocious. You can't see a thing. When you turn it on, you can't tell the difference between when it's on and off. So I decided I'm going to try to replace that one with a LED light. And I'm going to try to use the same hole there to let the wires in. We'll see how it goes. Okay, just for comparison purposes, here's the inside of the cabinet without the light, the old light. Here's with the light on. You really can't tell the difference. Night and day difference. Here's that. See the whole cabinet now. Night and day. Now this thing is usable. What I did a temporary fix. That light back there, trying to get to those bolts are going to be kind of hard to reach all the way through here. So what I'm going to do is replace these nut and bolts there with something that like a wing nut or something, like some of the guys have done. But right now that's just up there temporary, and once I can get to all of those screws back there is when I'll do a more permanent fix. But right now this baby is way usable. One other thing I did is a guy took, one of the guys showed that if you put another pipe on there, that it sucks better, and it really does. So this is a usable blast cabinet now. Just in case anybody wants to know, the light I got was a 12-inch LED from Menards. 800 lumens and 30 bucks. Well worth it. Well, this thing leaks sand everywhere. When you open the door, sand comes out. It's in the corners here. And back in here, you can see quite a bit of the sand. I mean, it's just a ton of sand just falls everywhere. So I'm going to fix that, the lighting, and a couple other modifications. Here where the door opens, these little holes always have sand in it, opens up. This little lip here, when you open it up, has sand on it, and it falls out too. It's all over the place. So try to modify this thing and keep that from happening. So I'm going to take now and set up these light bars permanent. They've got these holes in the back. So I drilled, made some screws. It's going to put on there, and then I'm going to attach that inside. I like these lights so much, that one light so much, that I decided to put two in to make it even brighter in there. You know, a lot of times guys do stuff on YouTube and they really don't tell you what you're doing. I'm trying to tell you exactly what I'm doing here. The switch that came with it has a low voltage connector into it, and there was a guy on YouTube who modified his, and he said the switch in here is high voltage. So what I did is put some spade connectors on there that go to the switch that go to my LED lights, and now I'm going to put a couple of spade connectors on 120 coming into this, and that's going to be how it's going to run those couple of lights I stuck in there. Well, I did a dry fit and it works. I just took the vacuum in there and went around the edges and cleaned up all the sand that was in there, and now I'm going to lay a bead of caulk in there, like I should have done in the first place. I didn't think it would leak with all of that material they gave, but it leaks like a sieve. Now if this works, this is going to be epic, but what this is, it's a draft motor off of a furnace, and this is the first little fan you hear turn on before the big fan, before it lets the gas get in. And what this does is it makes a draft in there, and if it doesn't draw a draft, then it prevents it from putting the gas, because the gas, once it lights, will come back into a part that it shouldn't be. Anywho's, if this thing, I'm going to put this on here. I had to replace my furnace, and this was still good, so it runs, and I'm going to put it on the side here and see if it will do the extracting. If it does work, it will be so quiet, and that's why I want to try this. Well, there she is mounted on the side there, and I'm here to tell you, with the hole that's in it, and that's the hole that came with it, which is very small, you can see that that thing is a little off center. That hole relative to the hole that's in the draft motors, about a 3-inch hole compared to, a 4-inch hole relative to like a 1.5 inch hole. So even without opening that up, the draft that is pulling out of there is crazy good. So this may work. Well, the next thing I'm going to do is, instead of this being a screw and a bolt and washer down inside, and you have to go all the way around and take stuff in from the inside, what I'm going to do is set it up like a stud. So I'm taking I went and bought some longer bolts and the nuts. I look on here, and what's happening is, let's see if we can get that in there for you. These things will interfere with that nut on there. So what I need to do is go put that on the drill press and take that down a little bit, so that when this goes on here, it doesn't sit up the width of the bolt there. The nut, I should say. Now with the studs mounted, some guys use wing nuts, but I found these little things, I forget what they're called, but it's looks a little better than wing nuts to me. So that's what's going to go on to fasten it down. And now it'll be easy to just lift that thing up just by taking all of these hand tightened nuts off. Now you can get this off of there. No glass in it yet. I'm just checking out to see if it fits, and it fits nice. Alright, when this door opens up, this is a flat surface here, and sand builds up on there and it just falls out. So I went to Lowe's and bought this piece of aluminum, and just gonna cut this and attach it on here, and hopefully that'll keep it from falling out onto the ground. Okay, I've got that installed now, and I'm going to throw I've got some screws in there. I'm going to throw some caulk on that side as well, some silicone caulk. Also, now to take care of this door here. Sand gets here on that, so I'm going to do a couple things. First thing I'm going to do is, block up those holes. Alright, I put white duct tape on here, and I went to Lowe's. I couldn't find anything that really was strong enough, but what I'm thinking is, this has got such a bulge in it, if I can just feather it out a little bit, then it will not get sand on that part. So I'm going to go ahead and duct tape this on. Alright, time to modify the gun. On the pickup tube here, this is the one that came with it, it kind of collapses as it's sucking. So I went to Lowe's and bought a new one. It seems to be thicker and stronger. Hopefully this won't collapse under the vacuum. And also this one is a little bit weak. So I'm going to do that. But the biggest thing, guys, I saw a guy do this on there, and this thing is worth its weight in gold. Here's the original pickup tube right here. And what you do is take another piece of pipe. He took copper. But my kid had, from one of his wind chime things that we had conduit. I can't remember what size conduit this is. It looks like about, ½ inch, maybe 5/8. Anyway, you take that, cut a couple holes in the bottom, and tape it to the original pickup tube. And I guess what that allows is when there's sand here, it allows air down in there. And holy cow, this changes the performance night and day. You don't not have sand. So worth its weight in gold to do this one. Well, I put the glass back on with a new little shield in it, nice and clear relative to the other one. Put new gloves in, and let's take a look at the mods. Got the door modded so that sand doesn't fall. New gloves, put new hoses on, and right back there's a draft motor. I'm probably going to cut that hole out a little bit bigger. It does actually make the gloves kind of inflate slightly on the way out. And on here we've got the little screws there, so it's easy with studs sticking up through there, so it's easy to take that glass off now. So I'm going to let everything cure and give it a shot. So here's that draft motor, and I took and made a cardboard template and took it over here. And now I am going to make that hole a little bit larger. That's the hole, you can see the original hole for the vacuum, but that draft motor is much bigger, so we're going to open that hole up. I'm using strip caulk here, like from windows in a car, and then I went to Lowe's and got some down pipe that they use for gutters, and that's going to be my draft extraction. Okay, remember this is still proof of concept, guys, and this little deflector shield here on the intake, I saw guys putting it on the exhaust. I've got the hole cut and mounting the draft motor. And so what I'm going to do is stick this little deflector shield. It's just made out of some really thin sheet metal, just to keep sand from just blowing out of there. And let's see how this thing works. I really didn't like how once I modified this thing that, you know, there was a gap sometimes, and I think sand might come out. So I went and bought some 5/8 inch polyfoam called caulk saver, and that fits right down in there. And I'm going to put that between each of the screws just to make sure that we get a good seal. Time for the walk around. All right, there's the draft motor, and I got some pipe from Lowe's that is for downspouts into another pipe that's for downspouts into a Lowe's bucket, and there I had to rig up something, and that's a vacuum bag. You can see I got that duct tape with a tube that goes into the vacuum bag. So this goes to the bottom, and that goes up into the bag, and when we turn the draft motor on, let's do that so you can hear it. Oops, wrong plug. Okay, see the draft motor's on. I know you can hear that on the camera, and I can out here too, but it's extremely quiet. Also, there is a wire that I stuck on the back of here, and it goes down to a washer on the ground here. Now that washer is for the static electricity when you keep getting shocked. Up here there's a little leak here and a little leak back in the back. So that means I'm going to have to do some caulk, but from the outside. And over here on the door, once again, all this stuff has been tested. There's a little sand that comes out right here. So I added an extra little piece. And that's because this thing doesn't come all the way over, so I added that. And I'll show you it blasting. It's great blaster now. Alrighty guys, just to summarize overall, this top plate here, I made it to where it's quick connect. The door I modified so sand doesn't come out. The tubes, I had a double tube for pickup. Double lights in here now, extremely bright, which you need. Draft motor for exhaust, and I seal the inside. Now what worked and what didn't? The sealing of it, I didn't do that good of a job. I thought it sealed it pretty well, but it didn't. So it's leaking on the back, a couple of sides on here. Still comes out of the door a little bit too. So I am going to make a part 3. I'm going to modify this again. Instead of going with a plexiglass and glass, I think I'm going to go with glass and glass. I saw some guys do that. I didn't invent any of this stuff. A lot of it was already on YouTube. So I think I'm going to double glass that, reseal it, and somehow figure out how to exhaust that with the draft motor. But overall, the performance of it has changed 100%. It really blasts off the stuff with that double thing, that double tube down in there. And it gets all the sand. I don't have to keep rocking it. It just goes down there and sucks it up. So I'm happy that it works like a champ, but still it could be better, and that'll be on episode 3 when I modify it when I have time. I got so many other things that it's working well enough, I'll leave it well enough alone. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.